the sound of premium Wagyu beef sizzling on the charcoal grill. But that wasn't the only sound echoing in this 2-acre villa garden. "Hey, Jack, flip the ribs faster. Are you going to turn $200 worth of beef into charcoal, just like your future?" Laughter erupted. That was the voice of Brad, my brother-in-law. He was holding a glass of craft beer, leaning against the brand-new Porsche 911, the car that I knew for a fact his parents had to mortgage their house for the 3rd time to buy. I didn't answer. I just quietly flipped the meat, smoke clinging to my old, worn-out shirt. I am Jack, and in the eyes of this prestigious Harrington family, I am not a son-in-law. I am just a lucky mechanic who caught their precious daughter. A parasite that needs to be removed. "Ladies and gentlemen," the microphone screeched. Arthur, my father-in-law, stood on the high podium of the porch, holding a glass of dark red wine. He was wearing a tailored Italian suit, looking as dashing as a nobleman, even though I knew his bank account was bleeding red. Today, besides celebrating my dear son Brad's 27th birthday, he paused, looking straight at me, standing by the grill. That look was cold and full of contempt. "We have another reason to celebrate. That is liberation." The whole garden fell silent. The fake upper-class guests started whispering. Elena, my wife, stood next to her mother. She lowered her head in silence, fiddling with the fake pearl necklace on her neck. She knew what was coming, and she chose silence. Arthur walked down a few steps, approaching me like a judge preparing to pass a sentence. "Jack," he said, his voice booming through the speakers, "I am sick of seeing your miserable face in this mansion." He pulled a thick envelope from his inner pocket, threw it onto the greasy grill table. "This is the transfer of inheritance rights. Sign it. Renounce all rights to this land, and I will allow you to move into the dilapidated barn at the end of the garden. You will live according to your class, amidst the straw and rat droppings." Brad laughed out loud, splashing his half-finished beer onto my canvas shoes. "Sign it, brother-in-law, or get out of here empty-handed. The divorce papers are already signed by Elena." I looked at Elena. She turned her face away. Perfect. The betrayal was complete. I wiped the beer off my shoe, slowly picked up the envelope. Everyone held their breath, waiting for me to beg, or get angry, or cry. But no. I pulled a cheap ballpoint pen from my chest pocket. "You want me to sign, Arthur?" I asked, my voice strangely calm. "Sign it and get the hell down to the barn." Arthur roared. I uncapped the pen. "Fine. But remember this moment, Arthur, because before the ink is dry, you will wish you never made this offer." I signed my name. The sharp stroke tore through the silence of the late afternoon. 3 hours later, the party was still going on with loud jazz music echoing from the villa, and I was dragging my tattered suitcase through the grass that grew above my knees. My destination was the barn. It was 500 meters away from the main villa, crooked and leaky, a rotting wooden structure from the 19th century. The Harrington family considered it a stain on the property. They kept it only because they didn't have the money to hire a bulldozer to level it. The wooden door groaned as I pushed it open. The smell of mold rushed into my nose. But mixed in that musty smell was something else. The smell of rotten eggs. Faint and pungent. But to me, it was the most seductive perfume in the world. The Harrington family always complained about this smell. They called plumbers. They poured cleaning chemicals. They cursed that it was because I was dirty. They called me the king of the dump. Ignorant fools. They saw garbage, but I, Jack Miller, Ph.D. in geology, who had hidden my degree under layers of car grease for the past 5 years, I saw a treasure.
I turned on my tactical flashlight, shining into the darkest corner of the barn.
There, under the rotting wooden floor, was an old well mouth that had been loosely covered. I put on gloves, took out the old measuring kit I had secretly hidden here last month. The gas detector signaled that hydrogen sulfide levels were skyrocketing, the characteristic rotten egg smell of associated gas, a sign of a high-pressure, shallow oil field.
I remembered the day Grandpa Henry was still alive. Grandpa Henry was the only one in this family who treated me like a human being. That year he was 85 years old, bedridden. While his descendants were busy dividing the inheritance in the living room, he held my hand, pressed a trembling handwritten note into my palm. Jack, they only see the flashy shell.
But you are the only one who bothered to fix the old water pump for me. You understand the value of things deep below. At that time, I thought he was joking in his delirium. But after he passed away, Arthur and Martha used every legal trick to strip me of my inheritance. They pushed me to the edge, leaving me only with the title of barnkeeper. They thought they had won.
They thought they had pushed me to a dead end. I took a soil sample from the well mouth, put it in a glass jar. Black soil, greasy and sticky. Under the flashlight, it shimmered with the rainbow colors of hydrocarbon. I smiled. The first smile after 5 years of enduring humiliation from my wife and her family. Arthur wanted me to sign away the surface rights. I signed it. Because what I hold is not the grass or that gaudy villa. What I hold is a contract transferring mineral rights, which Grandpa Henry sold to me for $1, a week before he passed away. And this giant oil field, according to my geological calculations, it lies entirely beneath this rotting barn. My phone vibrated. A text from Elena. Don't blame me. Have a good life in that pigsty.
I turned off the screen, stood up and dusted off my pants. Good night, Princess, I whispered into the darkness. Because tomorrow, when I drill the first drill bit, your villa will shake, literally. 2 weeks after I moved down to the barn, the rotten egg smell became stronger than ever. It followed the wind, straight into my mother-in-law Martha's afternoon tea party.
She screamed over the phone, "Calling the Department of Sanitation. You people have to come here now. My useless son-in-law is turning the barn into a plague nest." Arthur stood at the dividing fence, covering his nose with a Hermes silk scarf. "Hey, Jack, are you composting manure? Clean up that pile of trash or I'll hire a bulldozer to level your pigsty ahead of schedule."
I was sitting on the porch of the barn, cleaning a handheld seismic sensor. I looked up, adjusted the grease-stained cap. "Don't worry, Arthur. I'm handling it. The smell will be gone soon." Arthur snorted in contempt and turned back to the villa. He didn't know that the H2S gas was escaping from a small crack under the barn foundation. The pressure below was rising.
The oil field was breathing, and it was screaming to be released. That night, when the villa lights were out, I started working. Not car repair work. I activated the ground-penetrating radar that I had secretly rented with my last savings. My old laptop screen lit up with crisscrossing blue and red wave lines. My heart was pounding. The result was clear as day.
The geological structure beneath my feet was a perfect anticline trap, a giant rock dome holding millions of barrels of crude oil underneath. And the most interesting thing? This dome was tilted. The center of the oil pocket, where the pressure was highest, lay directly under this dilapidated barn. And the Harrington family's villa land? It lay right on the edge of the rock dome. Dry.
Worthless. Full of limestone and salty groundwater. I laughed out loud in the dark. Grandpa Henry wasn't senile at all. He knew exactly what he was doing. He left this poor grandson-in-law the golden key, and threw the greedy descendants an empty shell. But the joy was short-lived. The next morning, the barn door was kicked open. Brad rushed in, eyes red. He reeked of alcohol. followed by Arthur and Martha. Brad kicked my makeshift desk. The test vials shattered on the floor. "What are you hiding here, you beggar?" Brad screamed. He grabbed the papers on the table. Luckily, they were just receipts for car parts. I stood up, blocking the hastily closed laptop. "What do you want, Brad?" "I want you gone. Immediately." Arthur stepped up.
Threw another paper in my face. "The bank just called. We need to mortgage this entire land to pay off Brad's debt. They won't accept the mortgage if someone is still living in this barn. You have to move out today. I'll give you $500. Consider it charity." $500. For an oil field worth tens of millions. Their audacity had reached its peak.
"I signed an agreement to stay here for a year," I said coldly. "The law protects me." "The law?" Martha laughed bitterly. "We are the law in this town." She signaled to the door. Elena walked in. My wife. The woman I once loved with all my heart. She didn't dare to look me in the eye. In her hand was a blue folder. "Jack," her voice trembled. "Please just leave. Please."
She placed the folder on the broken table. "This is the divorce application. I've already signed it. If you sign and leave right now, Dad won't press charges for you ruining the garden landscape." I looked at Elena, then looked at Arthur, who was triumphant, Martha with her arms crossed, and Brad smirking. They thought they had cornered me.
They thought they were stripping everything from me, but they didn't know. They had just cut the last thread of mercy holding me back. I picked up the divorce papers. "Fine, Elena." I looked straight into her eyes for the last time. "You chose to stand with them. Hope this villa is warm enough to keep you warm when winter comes." I pulled out my pen.
Signed the divorce papers instantly. Threw it back to Elena. Arthur clapped sarcastically. "Well done. Now pack up your trash and get out. I give you exactly 2 hours. By noon today, the lawyers and bankers will be here to appraise the property. Don't let me see your face then." They left, leaving me amidst the ruins of the barn. I checked my watch. 9 a.m. The National Energy Corporation people were meeting me at 11 a.m., perfectly coinciding with the bank's appointment. I smiled, a cold smile never seen before. 2 more hours, Arthur. We'll see who is really trash. I took out my phone, dialed the project extraction director. "Hello, Jack here. Bring the contract, and remember to bring your best team of lawyers."
We are about to have an interesting show. 11 a.m. The Harrington living room was brilliant under the crystal chandelier. The bank representatives and family lawyers were sitting on velvet sofas. They were drafting the mortgage contract. Arthur sat smugly at the head of the table, fingering a glass of celebratory wine. Brad had his feet on the table, laughing loudly.
Elena sat huddled in the corner of the room, eyes red, looking at the freshly signed divorce papers. I walked in, wearing the only suit I had, the suit I wore at the wedding 5 years ago. Arthur looked up, frowning. "What the hell are you doing here, Jack? I thought you were packing your rags." The bank lawyer looked at me warily. "Mr.
Harrington, we need the signature of the person residing on the land behind." "No need," Arthur interrupted. "He signed the waiver. He's just a stray dog about to be kicked out." He threw me a look of contempt. "Get lost, Jack. Don't dirty my carpet." Just then, the sound of engines roared from the front yard. Not one car, but a convoy.
3 shiny black Cadillac Escalades pulled up right in front of the main door. The car doors opened. Men in black suits and sunglasses.